were clearly different.
Hey, get away.
10 years ago, I invented the Ring video doorbell for moments like that, and Ring security cameras for moments like this.
We get you on video.
Protect your home the way I do. Learn more at ring.com.
Welcome back to Morning Joe. It is Wednesday, October 22nd. Jonathan Lemire and Mike Barnicle are still with us, and joining the conversation we have politics reporter for Semaphore, Dave Weigel. And our top story this hour, President Trump's pick to lead the Office of Special Counsel has withdrawn from consideration after his offensive text messages were made public. Far-right former podcaster Paul Ingrassia was set to appear for a confirmation hearing this week. But after several Republicans signaled their opposition, it became clear he did not have the votes to be confirmed. He came under scrutiny after Politico, citing 3 administration officials, reported a colleague had accused him of sexual harassment. And there were reports of a text chat in which Ingrassia allegedly sent messages saying he had a, quote, Nazi streak, and that Martin Luther King Jr. Day should be, quote, tossed in the 7th circle of hell. All right. On social media last night, Ingrassia wrote in part, quote, unfortunately, I do not have enough Republican votes at this time, but that he appreciated the overwhelming support he has received, and that he will, quote, continue to serve President Trump and this administration. Jonathan Lemire, anything you can add to this from your sources?
I mean, it's sort of a rare moment, actually, where Republicans say no to something that President Trump had wanted. Now, obviously, there's been revelations about Ingrassia, but there have been some of these rumors have been out there before, the original claim. But the revelation of the text chain that Politico obtained in the last few days sort of was the death knell for his nomination here. But even then, there was a solid day there where he and his team, he actually enlisted his mother to help, thought they could convince Republicans that he could still was worthy of this position. But John Thune, we talked about it earlier, has so rarely defied President Trump, but he did lay down a marker a day or so ago that he did not think Ingrassia would receive the votes. I'm told that there was a number of people who in the GOP Senate who were not going to support him. So this is a moment where he is falling off, but it is certainly, as this combined with the text chains of a week ago, another moment that shows, unfortunately, this hateful, at times racist rhetoric seems to be permeating parts of young Republicans.
Yeah, Mike, John's right. It's extraordinary that it's noteworthy that this is happening, because so many times the position has been never apologize, never retreat, plow forward. As John points out, J.D. Vance, the vice president, talking about those young Republican texts and messages between each other saying, oh, they're just boys. We're not going to participate in cancel culture. Well, this is a rare case when it was a bridge too far.
You know, on this one, I mean, one of the keys I would have to think is the element of just the word Nazi. You know, once it's applied to someone, whether it's a candidate for public office or someone looking to be appointed to something, that's sort of a see you later.
Yeah, that's a hard one to come.
Let's talk about this new piece in the Washington Post, an editorial titled Flickers of Independence from the Senate GOP. The Post writes in part, one of the differences between President Donald Trump's first and second terms is the meekness of Senate Republicans. The GOP caucus in 2025 has acquiesced to appointments of extreme or unqualified people to powerful executive branch roles who never would have passed muster in 2017. But it is good to know there's still a limit somewhere after Senate Majority Leader John Thune warned Monday night his conference would reject the nomination of Paul Ingrassia. Presidents deserve significant deference in filling most executive branch posts, but the Senate plays an important role in forcing certain boundaries. Thune's majority mostly abdicated that responsibility by approving figures such as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary and Kash Patel as FBI Director. Republican and Democratic senators are too enthralled to presidents of their parties, and it's damaging the constitutional system. Any flickers of independence deserve at least faint praise. Dave Weigel, the bar is very low, but as the Washington Post points out, when there is a flicker of independence, it is noteworthy these days.
Yes, because it's not just the Republican Senate
Senate conference writ large that has changed. The members of the Senate have changed. Everyone elected in the last 6 years really has gotten elected as a MAGA Republican, and they don't like Ingracia, but they have been approving other people who would not have been confirmed before. Emile Bove wouldn't have been confirmed in the first term for a lifetime judicial appointment. So it is pretty thin there, and the overall tone of how Republicans treat the administration is that the president has a mandate. Anything he does should be judged as legal and fine until something is outrageous and indefensible. So they're every day, and this is, I think, some crazy-making factor for Democrats. Every day there's something Trump is doing that would have gotten resistance in the first term, and just the way news works, if you don't have Republicans standing up in a mic somewhere and saying it's bad, then it becomes a Democratic issue, then it becomes one party has what they call Trump derangement syndrome, because they're unhappy about the White House being remodeled without congressional buy-in or what have you.
Right. All right. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is cracking down on Pentagon staff, speaking to members of Congress. A new Pentagon memo signed by Secretary Hegseth and Deputy Secretary Steve Feinberg mandates that all Pentagon personnel obtain approval before communicating with lawmakers or congressional staffers. The only exception is the Inspector General's office. The memo states that unauthorized communications, quote, may undermine department-wide priorities critical to achieving our legislative objectives. The directive marks a significant shift from previous policy where Defense Department agencies could manage their own interactions with Capitol Hill. And John, this comes on the heels of the press, most of them walking out because they refused to sign that document.
Yeah, just last week, the Pentagon press corps that has been worked in that building for decades walked out en masse. There's only a very few exceptions of people who are willing to sign the Secretary of Defense's pledge. I believe OAN is there. Even Newsmax and Fox News, they said no.
Nope.
OAN said yes. A few, like there's a member of the Turkish state media that said okay.
Right.
I mean, just absurdity there. And it points to, first, there are two different things. The extraordinary insecurity by the Secretary of Defense, who was hit by bad headlines during his confirmation hearings, who had to weather the Signalgate scandal. He is someone who knows his job status is tenuous. He's not well liked in the White House, though President Trump likes him, but most of the West Wing does not care for him. And he is trying to prevent bad headlines from being generated that could endanger his job. That's part of this, but we should look beyond that. This is also, first of all, this deprives, Mike, the Pentagon of a chance to tell good news stories sometimes when they do that. But also, this is a moment that hurts the public, and we should never lose sight of that. This isn't members of the media complaining like, oh, you're making our jobs harder. It is, but those reporters will continue to do their jobs outside the building. But think about the number of important stories that American citizens have needed to learn because of the work that goes in the Pentagon. Hegseth's trying to stop that.
Well, two things. Don't you feel that now that they have done with what they've done with the press corps throwing them out of the building, or the press corps leaving the building, that the leaks from command staff generals, from people who work in the Defense Department, the leaks to the media are going to increase 100-fold. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it that is really kind of interesting is how long can they get away with building this protective cone around the Secretary of Defense so that they keep him from the public, really?
He doesn't answer questions.
Nope.
All right, let's turn to Dave Weigel's new piece about that race up in Maine, the Senate race. A Democratic candidate there putting the party's interest in younger and fresher candidates through a stress test after his controversial social media comments have surfaced lately, along with images of a tattoo. Nearly 10 years ago on Reddit, Graham Plattner wrote about how as he's gotten older, he's become, quote, a communist. He also made disparaging comments about police and minimized challenges faced by military members in reporting sexual assault. As for that tattoo, Plattner revealed he has a skull and bones similar to what was worn by the SS on his chest. Plattner has apologized, but now appears to be leaning into the controversy. Dave, you got some new reporting on this for Semaphore. What can you tell us?
Yes, I talked to Plattner yesterday as this was going on, before he said he'd remove the tattoo, but after he told Pod Save America, he gave them the video and said that people were going to attack him over it. And his argument is that he is a different kind of Democratic candidate, and the Democratic Party will suffer if it tells men, he's 41, men who grew up online, who posted some things that they regret, that they're not allowed in politics ever. Now, that's obviously a convenient thing for him to say as he's confronted with these questions. He has a lot of support among progressives, including Bernie Sanders, who told 7 Before yesterday he's sticking with Plattner. A lot of progressives who think there is a double standard here, that their candidates are grilled and asked to explain away things that are not problems for other people, and also sincerely that people born after 1980 are going to run for office with a sketchy online record. That is how he is trying to package everything that he said, that I'm a real person and this shouldn't be a problem. And the reason progressives are a little bit confident, he has the same media teams, so some of the same strategists as John Fetterman in 2022, as Zohran Mamdani right now. Both of them dealt with controversies. Mamdani's on debate stages renouncing his old tweets. They think there is a way past this, and they frame it all as, I'm only getting this attention, this criticism, because the establishment doesn't like me. Final thing I'd say about that is there's some Trump envy. That is how Trump and a lot of Republican candidates have gotten through scandals, by saying, yes, I'm not perfect. I'm like you. I've said some things I regret, and that makes me a more authentic, normal person. That has worked for Trump. It has not worked for some Trump-like candidates. They're trying to make it work for him. And
a lot of hopes Dave put into Plattner as a different kind of candidate running up in Maine, maybe the kind of candidate Democrats should be finding and highlighting in some of these races, more relatable to actual voters in the state. What is he saying, though, about that tattoo? He was on Pod Save America, the podcast with the former Obama aides, the three guys, and tried to explain and used a quote that you never want to use in a political campaign, quote, "I am not a secret Nazi." What's he saying about the tattoo?
Yeah, short version, he got this skull tattoo with fellow Marines in Croatia. He was not fully mentally there when he did it. He never removed it. The discrepancy in the last really 24 hours has been, that was his story to Pod Save America. Jewish Insider reported, his story to Pod Save America included, he didn't know about the associations of the symbol. Jewish Insider reported that somebody who knew Plattner a decade ago said he did know the associations, and him now saying that he's going to remove it, that complicates it. It went from something that he was comfortable showing off for a long time and joking about to something that he is ashamed of and going to remove. He had deleted his Reddit account years before entering this race, and that is some of the paradox here. One, he is saying, I made mistakes and that makes me normal. Two, yes, they're terrible mistakes and I'm ashamed of them and need to do something to wipe them out. And again, the reason progressives are saying let's give him a chance here is because this started unfolding right as Janet Mills, the governor of Maine, got into the race with the support of Chuck Schumer. That is how they see this. If it is opposition research, if it is connected at all to the D.C. establishment, no matter what the facts are, it is suspicious. That is how progressives view this. And I've seen very few people in the influential progressive commentary space or the endorsers of Graham Plattner say this is a problem, because they look at Republicans and say how would they do this? They would maybe apologize, they would maybe reframe it, but they would say this is only happening because the establishment doesn't like me. That is the default, and that was interesting here. The Pod Save America was a platform for him to try that out. He tried it. He said it to me too in a different, I think, more intense way. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, Dave, you make a great point about how the circumstances of these revelations are called into question, although some Dems have noted to me this also might point to some insufficient vetting of this potential candidate in the first few weeks of his launch. Although we should note, I mean, you're making a great point also about how Republicans seem to just plow forward. We did just have an example, though, of Paul Ingrassia not being able to do so, in part because the word Nazi is attached. So this would still seem to be a third rail here. But let's take a step back. Talk to us a little bit more about this sort of generational clash, because this Maine is being held up much like the New York City mayor's race, where you have a young Mamdani and an older sort of veteran establishment character in Cuomo. Here you do as well in the Senate race, Mills and Plattner. These races do seem representative of this real struggle the party is going through right now post 2024.
Well, one thing Democrats deal with in particular, Republicans don't, is that they lost so recently. So if you were part of the Democratic political establishment, you don't have a win on the board in the last year to say this is how elections should be. This is what a candidate needs to win. That influences all this. There's also intervention here of the idea that Democrats are too censorious, that Democrats are the party of cancel culture, especially when it comes to white men. And that is something that Plattner is leaning into, that there were nominees for positions in Biden's administration who said things that were controversial, and they got through their nominations. But the party has been losing ground with men in particular. You talked about J.D. Vance and how he was defending some of the group chats. That's situational too. That's a little convenient who he defends and who he doesn't. But the overall idea that they're sharing is that there are a lot of people who grow up and they say stupid things, and they say them in public now because everything is online, and increasingly people can find your information even if you delete it. Do we want a society where they're canceled, and do we want a Democratic Party that cancels people and a Republican Party that doesn't? The idea being that men might look, Latino men, black men, white men might look and say, I don't want to be part of the party that cancels you and gets you out of your job and says you can never rise up in your career if you said something stupid. I might have said something stupid. So that is the overall thing they're going for, and they look at a Democratic Party that is more, again, it's supporting Mills. It is more ready to say that if you made these mistakes, you shouldn't be in public office. It is ambitious, and it is very convenient for Plattner's campaign, but I think it does tap into something that Democrats are worried about. How come men keep drifting us? How much of it is that we're the party that says, take that episode off TV, don't say that, take that joke out of your comedy routine? Some of this is how do we lose Joe Rogan? Oh, it's because Joe Rogan is fine with offensive jokes and we're not. It is a melange of things going on, but that is where Plattner and progressives are taking it.
All right, 7-4's Dave Weigel, thank you very much for your analysis. His latest piece is available to read online right now. And still ahead on Morning Joe, our next guest is taking a look at the divisions that have shaped American life since the founding of this country. President and CEO of the Constitution Center, Jeffrey Rosen, joins us with his new book, The Pursuit of Liberty. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
When Betty and George switched to consumer cellular, it saved.
Fight cancer. Opdivo Qvantig can cause your immune system to harm healthy parts of your body during and after treatment. These problems can be severe and lead to death. See your doctor right away if you have a cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, irregular heartbeat, diarrhea, constipation, severe stomach pain, severe nausea or vomiting, dizziness, fainting, eye problems, extreme tiredness, changes in appetite, thirst or urine, rash, itching, confusion, memory problems, muscle pain or weakness, joint pain or fever. Report severe or persistent muscle or joint pain. Tell your doctor if you have myasthenia gravis or Guillain-Barré syndrome. Immune system problems include Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or lupus. These are not all the possible side effects. Tell your doctor about all medical conditions, including immune or nervous system problems, if you've had or plan to have an organ or stem cell transplant or receive chest radiation. Opdivo Qvantig can harm your unborn baby.
A chance to live longer. A treatment that's faster.
Ask your doctor about Opdivo Qvantig. See OpdivoQvantig.com for more information.
I can't wait to see their faces when they come out.
What seems to be the problem, soldier?
The belly's, it's full of Greeks.
Sneaky cowards.
Innovation changes everything.
Send it back!
With one investment, you can access the NASDAQ 100 innovators who are rethinking the world. Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
Sarah Benzino, Brandon Coley, Jablonski Auto Body, LLC.
What'd she call Harper?
Oh, you mean Jablonski Auto Body, LLC.
We actually sold the twins naming rights.
You know, like stadiums do. Kids are so expensive these days. Here he comes.
Oasis Breeze Tan and Spa.
If you need a tan, I'm your man.
Could do business with you.
Or we can look at some investment options for you.
Works for us.
The right money moves aren't as absurd as you think.
These bills are crazy.
5% today and get this introductory system for just $59.95, plus 2 free gifts and free shipping. You're holding your phone, so get this deal now. Scan the code, go to kindscience.com, or call the number to order right now.
we realized some home maintenance jobs aren't worth the risk.
That's when we call a leaf filter to protect our gutters.
Leaf Filter's patented filter technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good, guaranteed. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or visit leaffilter.com.
Save up to 50% on select styles of beautiful new carpet, hardwood, vinyl, and laminate from Empire today. We'll beat any competitor's